From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at Noon, streaming now.
And thanks for joining our team here on the News at Noon. I'm Lauren Casey. Todd Clausen is standing by from his home this Friday. Todd, that's a good place to be because it is not going to be a great weekend in the weather department.
Yeah, you know, the cold is here to stay, Lauren, and today we've added the gusty winds, which really doesn't help anything, and there's a few flurries out there as well. We'll start you off with the temperatures, and you can see right now we're dealing with temperatures that are in the teens and 20s all across the area. 19 in Peru, 30 in Terre Haute, 27 in Indy, but I mentioned those winds. They're still gusting up to about 25 to 30 miles per hour. That's putting wind chills down in the single digits still in Peru. Feels like 13 in Muncie, 12 is what it feels like currently here in Indianapolis. So you definitely have to bundle up. As you look here from IMS back towards downtown Indianapolis, you can see a few flurries and light snow showers making their way through the area. They're all very, very light. I really don't think it's going to put down any accumulation across the area, and they should diminish here as the afternoon goes on. But just don't be surprised if you see them. More in the way of sunshine there still to the north. So this afternoon we have the wind, we have a few flurries. Temperatures may go up a couple degrees, but it won't really feel like that when you factor in the wind. Tomorrow, a little better chance of accumulating snow in the evening hours, followed by an Arctic blast of air coming in on Sunday. We'll hit both those topics for you, Lauren, coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Well, if you do have to be out and about on the roads over the next few days, you'll want to make sure that your car is cold weather ready. That means having a safety kit packed in advance. Some things you should include are de-icer, a snow brush, an ice scraper, jumper cables or a rechargeable battery, a spare tire and a car jack, and a shovel and some kitty litter that'll help you dig yourself out if you get stuck. Well, the snow in the forecast means it will be another busy weekend for road crews out there. The Department of Public Works here in Indy says it will activate Indy Snow Force at 11 o'clock a.m. tomorrow. All 80 of the city's drivers will be out on the streets to pre-treat them and then to plow the snow after it falls. Indy Snow Force will remain on the roads through at least Tuesday morning. INDOT expects to have its drivers taking care of the interstates and state highways through the weekend as well. Taking a turn now to the pandemic, the new coronavirus numbers are out from the State Health Department. They continue to show new cases trending downward, but deaths remain relatively high. More than 1,500 new cases were reported today. That is down from Thursday. However, 49 additional COVID-related deaths of Hoosiers were also reported by the health department today. As for the vaccine effort, another 25,000 Hoosiers have received their first dose of a COVID vaccine over the past 24 hours. That brings the total number to more than 661,000 Hoosiers. The pandemic is still causing a drag on the job market. The Labor Department says only 49,000 new jobs were created across the country in January. The national unemployment rate fell to 6.3% last month, but economists say that number can be misleading. Ball State economist Mike Hicks says that so many Americans have stopped looking for work that, quote, indicates an unemployment rate between 9.5 and 11.8% nationally, end quote. Hicks believes more stimulus money is needed from Washington. And a short time ago at the White House, President Biden said that's why he would continue to push for quick passage of his $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill.
But one thing we learned is, we can't do too much here. We can do too little. We can do too little and sputter. But again, the end result is it's not just the macroeconomic impact on the economy and our ability to compete internationally. It's people's lives.
Early this morning, the Senate passing a budget rule that would block Republicans from using a filibuster to block President Biden's relief proposal. A tie vote in the Senate was broken by Vice President Kamala Harris. It's her first tie-breaking vote since taking office. An Indiana state lawmaker is opening up about her own serious battle with the coronavirus. And while Washington is talking about sending more money to Americans, the talk of the state capitol is about taking more money away from smokers in our state. Our own Ray Steele takes a look at this week's Statehouse Roundup.
Good day, Mr. and Mrs. Indiana and all the ships at sea. Lightning fast legislation at the state capitol this week. Bills being bantered left and right. But our ace Statehouse correspondent Matt McKinney was on the job, keeping up with the barrage of bills for you at WRTV.com. Let's go to press. Video.
If this were the days of old-time radio, we'd probably have a cigarette commercial coming up. Instead, this might be the year that a cigarette tax increase actually has a chance of passing. This week, lawmakers said that 40% of the money from a cigarette tax hike would go to Medicaid reimbursements for healthcare providers. And if you vape, you'd be inhaling this tax increase too, as this bill would raise the tax on what the purveyors of the pen call vape juice. Democratic State Representative Vanessa Summers was back at the Statehouse this week for the first time since recovering from COVID-19. She was in the hospital back in December, including 11 days in ICU. Summers tells us, wear a mask, wash your hands, practice social distancing, exercise, work on your health daily. Don't just wait until you get sick. Last week, we told you Republicans were trying to make libertarians and other third-party candidates collect more signatures to get on election ballots. We half-jokingly called it the Donald Rainwater Act. He's the man who ran for governor last year and was the most successful libertarian candidate in the state's history. Well, now that bill aimed at him and other third-partiers may be dead. It passed a committee, but House Speaker Todd Houston says he will not bring it to the House floor this session.
And that's the way it was at the Statehouse this week. Read more of Matt McKinney's scoops at WRTV.com or the WRTV News app.
Working for you with Statehouse Roundup, Ray Steele, WRTV.
Ray, thank you so much. Well, today is National Wear Red Day. The day brings awareness to cardiovascular disease, which is the #1 killer of women. Today, men and women wore red while sweating it out here at Orange Theory Fitness downtown. Leading an active lifestyle is just one way to keep your heart in good shape.
Daily movement, step 1, right? Daily movement, incorporating movement at least 2 to 3 times a week has been shown to improve your heart health and decrease your risk of heart disease. Get active. We love seeing it. Of course, we're Orange Theory, but we totally lit it up red in the studio, really promoting our awareness of heart health.
Well, the American Heart Association's Go Red for Women movement promotes longer and healthier lives for women. Well, it's something you rarely see in politics these days. Next, our insiders on a major act of bipartisanship. Plus, do they think the governor is making the right choice on who's next in line to be vaccinated? Todd?
And Lauren, temperatures are in the 20s right now here in central Indiana, but as you look to our northwest into Chicago, you can see they're currently in the teens. You go a little further northwest to Minneapolis, and it's the single digits. That is the Arctic air that's heading our way, and as it comes in tomorrow night, there will be a round of accumulating snow. We'll lay it all out for you in your weekend forecast coming up when the news at noon continues right here on WRTV.
Welcome back. So you don't see bipartisanship on major issues much anymore, but it happened this past week at the Statehouse, and it's setting the stage for some major reforms to possibly pass unanimously. We asked our political insiders how a bill that could mean broad reform of policing in Indiana came together.
Police reform was a big deal, and a lot of the credit goes to State Representative Greg Stierwalt over in Avon, because he worked tirelessly behind the scenes. He's not a big show grabber or a person to grab headlines. He's a workhorse, and he really worked hard. Worked with the Black Caucus, worked with the governor's office and state police to put together legislation that went through unanimously.
I think in general, Republicans and Democrats are just seeking a sense of normalcy and less division. And we also see that in Washington with Republicans in the House really denouncing crazy, divisive conversation out there from the East Coast. But on the other hand, too, a lot of what's in this bill was already happening by law enforcement agencies. And so this is a really great PR move for them. In addition, I think I saw that there's $70 million in there for training and training facilities. So if anything, that's also a benefit for those law enforcement agencies to get some of the things that they need and want out of this bill. Look, these folks are on the front lines, just like the doctors and nurses, and we've got to get our kids back to school and protect teachers. It's a lot like the smoking bans. We can't ask somebody to risk their health for a job that they have to do, especially for teachers when it's in public policy and public interest. So Governor Holcomb needs to get on the teachers' side and get them vaccinated sooner rather than later.
Governor Holcomb is on the side of teachers. Look at what we've done with respect to funding. Look at what he's doing with respect to teacher pay. So to insinuate that the governor is not on the side of teachers, I have to push back on that a little bit. The governor is in a tough spot. Do we do teachers? Do we do frontline workers? Do we do people by age groups? And also, we've got to remember, too, there's not a whole lot of the vaccine to go around just yet, because it's still in the developing stages in some places, and there's still limited shipments. Now, once those limited shipments once the shipments become less scarce and more available, then I think you'll see teachers sort of brought in. But also, you got to remember too, teachers can still teach virtually. They can still do their job. They just can't necessarily do their job the way it used to be done.
Our thanks to the political insiders. Now, with temperatures taking a big tumble this weekend, you'll want to make sure that your home is nice and warm. Next, our own Kelsey Anderson with some tips on how to keep your furnace from fizzling out at the wrong time. Now, let's take a look outside right now. If you look closely, you can see some flurries flying here in the downtown area from our tower camera. It's the start of a wild weekend of weather, and Todd's going to break it all down for us coming up right here on the News at Noon. Stick around. Well, if you haven't already, it's time to start getting ready for the bitter cold temperatures heading our way this weekend. Our own Kelsey Anderson shows us how you can get an important part of your home ready so that you can stay inside and stay warm.
Well, when temperatures this cold are starting to roll in, we want to make sure that we don't go without heat. And so you want to make sure that this big guy continues to work throughout those frigid temperatures. And experts say the first thing you want to do is check that air filter and make sure it's clean and change it if you need to. Along with that, Chad Langdon with 1 Hour Heating and Air says you should walk around your house and make sure no registers or grills are blocked. That way, that warm air can flow smoothly throughout the house. And if you do lose heat, not only will you be freezing, but there's potential for more problems, like your pipes possibly freezing. If something does go wrong, Langdon says they are ready to help.
We do operate 24/7, and we have people ready to run calls pretty much any time. Yep, you can give us a call. We can schedule an appointment for a service tech to come out, take a look at it, and see what needs to be done to get it back up and running again.
Now, if you are someone who likes your house on the cooler side, that's okay. But experts say that your heat should be set to at least 60 degrees Fahrenheit. That way it can work properly and keep the inside of your house warm. Working for you, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
Kelsey, thank you. Okay, Todd, we got to talk about the cold temperatures heading our way. Hopefully you can just stay in your basement the rest of the week and not come out for anything.
You know, it's funny, as Kelsey was talking there, I heard my furnace here over in the furnace room in the basement kick on, and everybody's furnaces are going to be working overtime here over the course of the next couple of days as we really settle in to a very, very cold weather pattern, not only for today, but really for the extended future. Outside right now, we're dealing with a few snowflakes across parts of central Indiana. They're all very, very light. That is the good news. We are not going to see anything as far as the way of accumulation goes across the area. Temperatures, they currently sit right now in the 20s and 30s across the area. We're at 21 in Kokomo, 27 in Indy, 30 in Shelbyville. And I mentioned the stretch of cold weather. In fact, today's probably the best bet for our high temperature to get to freezing. It won't feel like that with the wind out there, but it's the coldest stretch we've had so far this winter in terms of both temperatures and a duration. In fact, we will be below the freezing mark, I think, for at least the next 10 to 14 days. It's not until after Valentine's Day that I really see the temperature starting to come up a little bit. As far as today goes, again, our high is right around 32, but this is what it's going to feel like for the remainder of your day. Wind chills will be in the low 20s by the time we get to 4 or 5 o'clock, and then this evening, if you have plans, it's going to feel like it's in the teens, so make sure you bundle up if you're heading to dinner tonight or doing any other things across parts of central Indiana. Now, here are the snow showers on radar. They look worse on radar than they actually are. Again, if you get in one of the more intense ones, there could be a little coating out there, but it shouldn't be anything more than that. And then by the time you get up to the Peru area, skies are sunny. It's just this one little wedge of snow showers and clouds that are making their way through the area. Now, fast forward to tomorrow. Tomorrow, the daytime hours are going to be dry. We start off cold with some sunshine in the teens. Clouds gather throughout your Saturday, but by 7 p.m., we're still dry. Shortly after 7 o'clock, as we head into the late evening hours and then overnight, there's going to be this potent band of snow that's coming through. It moves through pretty quickly, but the snow could be pretty intense with it. Now, the good news is it comes in as many of you are hunkering down for Saturday night and then going to sleep into Sunday morning. And by the time you wake up Sunday, it's going to be gone. So I don't think we have to worry about too much in the way of a commute or travel, but there could be potentially some pretty good snowfall totals. In fact, models have been increasing the snow totals in northern locations to about 2 to 4 inches now and bringing Indy up to about that 2 to 3 inch range. So this is going to be a decent snow, light fluffy snow because the temperatures are so cold and visibilities will be reduced. Behind that snow, here are your wind chill temperatures by the time we get to Sunday morning, as cold as -25 in Lafayette. And then wind chills as we get into Sunday afternoon will still be in the negative numbers across most locations. And that's probably the core of the cold air for the weekend. But then another weak system comes through with another round of snow on Tuesday, Lauren, with again the potential for some minor accumulation, followed by another blast of cold air with high temperatures Wednesday and Thursday, only in the teens, and low temperatures all the way down into the single digits.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. So IUPUI's history runs deep in the area along Indiana Avenue. Sadly, laying the foundation of the downtown campus at IUPUI literally erased much of the footprint of Indy's flagship Black neighborhood. Our own Cameron Riddle has the details about a new scholarship for students with their own Indiana Avenue roots.
While Black History Month is only 28 days long, IUPUI is doing something that will honor Black history 365 days of the year.
During summer 2020, a large constituent group of IUPUI administrators and student leaders pulled together some various anti-racist initiatives. And one of the suggestions that came from that was the Through Their Eyes Memorial Scholarship.
The scholarship provides $15,000 to an incoming or current IUPUI student whose family was displaced during the establishment and construction of the IUPUI campus.
IUPUI, began in 1969 and began to occupy the land that was, home to a thriving Black community and bought out many of the homes. And we know, obviously, long before that, we have, Native communities who have also occupied that land.
The communities of Ransom Place and Indiana Avenue were the headquarters for Black culture, Black existence in Indiana, and home to nationally known Hoosiers, including Madam C.J. Walker.
This scholarship is a way to honor those individuals and their ancestors and their descendants.
The Through Their Eyes Scholarship is part of an inclusion plan first initiated in 2006 by IUPUI's Black Student Union. Khalila Shabazz is the Assistant Vice Chancellor for Student Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. She says the call to give something back to the community that lost so much continues to echo more than 50 years after the first home was knocked down.
So I think it's a great way to bring forth, our past to our present, reconciling, in some way the things that, we have done in terms of our community. And so really reestablishing ourselves as supporters of the Black and Indigenous community that thrived in our areas.
Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
Cameron, thank you. The Through Their Eyes Scholarship is accepting applications right now from Black and Indigenous people who have ties to the land around Indiana Avenue. You do have to submit an essay detailing your family's connection to the area. Let's take another look outside right now from our tower camera. You can see the flurries flying across your screen if you look closely there. Everyone's talking about the weather and what's going to happen this weekend. So we're going to check in again with Todd before we head out for the rest of the day. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
All right, as you walk out the door here this afternoon, a few snow showers are possible. Highs will get up to about 32, but it's not going to feel like that when you factor in the wind chills today in the teens and 20s. Tomorrow, the snow that you see I have in the forecast is after 7 p.m., but we're looking at about 1 to 2 inches across the area with higher totals to the north where we could get 3, maybe even 4 inches. That ends by Sunday morning, and then it's all about the bitter cold temperatures Sunday and Monday in the teens with wind chills, Lauren, that'll be well below 0.
Todd, thanks, and thank you for joining us and making WRTV your choice for news. Come back and join us for the news at 5. Have a great weekend. Stay warm.